Here's a video I've been wanting to do for a little while now. I've just got over 4,000 Ks on the Ranger PHEV, and these are the 5 things I wish I knew before buying it. Number 1 is charging in my garage. Secret, hot tip. Open the door before we try and pull the plug out, because otherwise, I don't know, it goes dormant or something, doesn't wake up. Now you can press the button and the plug comes out. So Ford, in all their marketing, say it's only 10 amp charging, and I couldn't see anything anywhere. Even the journos, everyone says Ford are lame because they've only got a 10 amp charger. On the dash of the car, when you get home at the end of a drive, it says charge at 10 amps will take this long, charge at 15 amps will take this long. Like, there must be a 15 amp charger. So I went looking. There is a type 2 charger. I bought this for $380 or something or other. But now it charges in half the time. So sort of between the 3.5-4 hour mark on 15 amps. It doesn't say that anywhere else. Excuse my messy garage, but this is the brand I got. There we go. In Charge X, you'll find it, just Google it. But that's been working perfectly fine. I use this charger at home, and at work I've just got the one the car came with, the 10 amp one, because I'm at work for 8 hours, charges up plenty of time, and then on weekends when I want things to charge a bit quicker, I use the 15 amp one. All right, this moves me into point number 2. Jump in the car. I'm in. All right, I love this bit. Turn the car on. Ford built tough because they said so. All right, so you're gonna press the OK button. Got a seatbelt on. Okay, see down the bottom there, it's at 90% charge and 34 kilometers in this battery. Again, Ford say that this will get 49 kilometers on electric only, which is rubbish. I've never even got close to that. Maybe 41 on the best day ever, rolling downhill, heated seats off, aircons off, lights off. In real driving, I'm getting about 36 kilometers. And also, to add on top of that, at about the 1,000 K mark on the dash, it pops up. If you want to keep your battery healthy, you should only really charge it up to 90%. Only charge it up to 100% when you're doing like long trips. So really, the 49 kilometers was never going to happen. They've knocked 10% of that off because now I just charge it to 90% every day. So yeah, my drive to work and back is 28 kilometer round trip. I can do that all on electric, and that works for me. If I'm going to go on a longer trip, obviously I'm going to be using the hybrid side of it, petrol as well. Point number 3, and I'm going to use the EV later button to explain this one. So down here you go, press that button, EV later. The engine should start in a second. There we go, engine's on, and we'll get rid of that screen. You can see on the left hand side the engine's on. And watch when I give it a bit of gas. All right, I've got the window down too. Did you hear that? You can make this thing have like a blow-off valve sound. Does it eat it? No. Will it void warranty? Maybe. But I just like it because I'm a shoulder. All right, let me show you what I did to get that noise. So there was a pipe coming off here that went around and to the air intake. That's like the boost wastegate, whatever it's called. Anyway, take that off and it makes cool noises. So let's see if we can get this to boost up. All right, that one's not a big deal, but it makes me smile, so I had to throw that in. While we're in the engine bay, let's move on to the next point. I just forgot to put an engine cover in, I reckon. It's like Frank's job, and it was Friday, and he wanted to go home early. It's like, shall I design an engine cover? Nah. All right. You'll notice when you look down here, I've been looking everywhere. There's no alternator at all. This car uses a 7.5 kilowatt DC-DC charger to charge the battery at the back. 7.5 kilowatt, that is massive. So I guess when you've got that much power, you don't need an alternator, which makes me think about dual battery, because I was going to put a dual battery in it, but I don't have to. I just ran an Anderson plug from This is the dash battery top bracket, so I can run all my accessories out of this later. But anyway, I ran an Anderson plug from there down to, let's open the tray. All right, bit of a hop, step and a jump up here. All right, so down to, can you see in there, just there? And then that runs around to my fridge cabinet. This is just something I've had set up that I can throw in my camper or my RV or whatever. And I've got a little Victron gauge down here, so I can see, it's like a shunt, I can see what's charging and so forth. Anyway, the voltage will get as low as 11.6. You turn the ignition on, straight away the 395 volt battery goes backwards through the DC-DC charger and charges the start battery, and I never run out of power. So I've been running this fridge for months and I've not run out of power. I've left it 3-4 days without driving it, still doesn't run out of power, still starts every time. You've just got to have enough battery for the ignition to turn on, and then it jumps across, and there's heaps of power all the time. Like if I have a look now, can I get in there? 14.47 volts, and it's just sitting there. Too bad if you own a 4x4 accessory fitting shop and you bought a promotional vehicle to try and sell parts out of it. The bloody thing's got everything already. Brake controller, 12 pin, all that stuff. Roof racks. Anyway, move on. Dare I talk about fuel economy in this thing? Because let's be honest, probably that was the catch of everyone wanting to buy one of these things. So there's so many modes. There's like 4 different electric modes: EV now, EV later, EV charge, EV auto. Then there's a whole, like a rotary dial with a whole heap of other buttons. So there's towing mode, there's performance mode or sport mode, eco mode. Look, I think you can cut a lot of that crap out and just use pretty much a couple, maybe 3. So the threshold about how I think about this: are you doing under 60 kilometers an hour or over 60 kilometers an hour? All electric motors, I've been playing around with my electric scooter, my electric boat. The car's the same. Low speeds, electric motors work best. High speeds, petrol or diesel works best. So under 60 Ks, put it in EV auto or EV now if it's a short trip. Full stop. If you're going over 60 Ks an hour, then put it in EV later. And then that just turns it into a hybrid. Yes, it does, keep some charge for later, but it basically just says, instead of using a priority of the battery, just use it as a hybrid mode. It doesn't mean that it's not going to use battery, but it's not depleting the battery. It's just a hybrid. So when you brake, it regens, and then when you go from 0 to 15 Ks an hour, it'll use electric. When you go over 15 Ks an hour, it'll jump into like petrol hybrid mode. So by doing that, I've got the best fuel economy. And I don't stuff around with anything else now. There's an argument for towing. Put it in tow mode. I can tell you, as far as the way it manages electricity, tow mode or tow haul is exactly the same as EV later. It's just more cumbersome to get to. There might be some other strategies with the gearbox and so forth, but in regard to electricity, it's exactly the same. So because I can't be bothered changing it, chances are I don't even use the tow haul mode. I just press, the EV later or EV auto. That's all I do. And I don't bother about the sport and eco and whatever else it's got. I haven't been full driving yet, so I can't comment on that one. Right, on the back of that, all the mythical things that I tried to get this thing to do, like, can you put it in EV charge mode and drive, 100 Ks, and then put in EV now mode and just use electricity? Will that be more efficient? No, you can't cheat the system. Power is power. The only time you'd ever really want EV charge is if you were going to maybe a campsite or a work site where you needed power at the other end, and you didn't have any. That's when you'd put an EV charge. But it's like, you're not going to get any miraculous economy efficiencies by flipping around. It doesn't work. All right, the last one I reckon is pretty cool. So all the camera systems are awesome. There's a reverse camera, of course, front camera. You can look down at your tow ball. I've got my tow ball in at the moment. It's got some cameras if you want to look down the side of your Caravan. There's cameras everywhere. But the new one that I want to play around with is this one here. So you can buy a wiring like little extension loom from Safety Dave. It's not dear either. It's pretty like well under $100. Then you buy the 7.5 meter camera loom to go to the back of your car and a Wazza socket, and then you can connect your camera from your Caravan into this like the stereo. You don't have to have an additional screen. Like, I think that is really cool, because the amount of times all manufacturers of cars have come to our shop, 4x4 DNA, and asked, can you get the camera from the Caravan into the screen? And it's always hard work, or you've got to like have some special accessories. This is going to work. So I've bought it all, I've got to install it, and I'll do a separate video on that one later. So this is just a quick one. I've been studying this car pretty hard so I can get some information out. I've even got Ford actually contact me and hooked me up with their designer of the PHEV, which was done in Australia, tested in Australia, so good on Australia. But I wanted to get this stuff out to you with some accurate information, because I think some of my previous videos was just me learning and they weren't accurate. Now I think I know what I'm talking about. All right, this one's out. I'll see you for the next one on YouTube. Yeah.